Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take your sources, your research, your notes, and we try to boil them down into the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight for you.
Exactly.
And today, we're plunging into a topic that has, well, captivated and frankly frustrated the public for years. The Epstein files. You know, these documents the U.S. government supposedly has, but has been, let's say, notoriously slow to release.
It's a really intricate web, often hidden. And our mission today, it's really to go beyond just Jeffrey Epstein himself. We're looking at the bigger picture, the broader networks of power, finance, influence, basically what enabled his activities.
Right.
Because you see, this scandal, it's in many ways, it's kind of too big to fail. It risks exposing this deeply ingrained, really wide-reaching power structure.
That's a pretty bold statement.
Yeah.
Too big to fail. Can you give us like an immediate sense of just how vast this network really is? What sort of unexpected names or groups are we even talking about here?
Absolutely. That's what this deep dive is all about, showing you how these threads connect across continents, industries. It's quite something. We've pulled from, well, a whole range of sources: investigative journalism, legal docs, transcribed interviews, all trying to help you piece together this incredibly complex picture.
And we'll be exploring the roles of some key individuals, people like Donald Trump, his longtime friend Flavio Briatore, you know, the guy sometimes called Italy's Donald Trump,
That's him.
and even supermodel Naomi Campbell. Ultimately, our aim is to show you what connections could be shaping how the administration is handling these files. So yeah, let's start unpacking this.
Well, the recent handling, or maybe mishandling, of the Epstein files by the Trump administration, that's definitely reignited public interest. A lot of buzz.
Yeah.
We've seen figures like Elon Musk, who you might consider a former ally, even publicly suggesting there are implications in these documents.
It's pretty remarkable, isn't it, how this whole issue has sort of splintered even Trump's base, puzzling some of his closest supporters, apparently.
Right.
And then on the other side, you've got Democrats in Congress who were maybe quieter for a bit, now publicly pushing for these documents to be released.
Yeah, the pressure's building.
And this situation, it's allegedly dented Trump's reputation as Teflon Don, which, you know, for someone with his political history of things just sliding off, that's actually quite a development.
And what's particularly revealing, according to the sources we looked at, is this detail about Attorney General Pam Bondi.
Okay, what about her?
She reportedly briefed President Trump back in May, told him his name was in the files.
His name specifically. Wow.
Yes. And what's crucial to note, or at least what raises eyebrows, is that shortly after this briefing, the Justice Department announced it wouldn't release any more documents from its investigation, claiming, you know, nothing warranted further action. That timing, for a lot of people, it looks highly suspicious.
Yeah, the timing is interesting. Okay, moving from the administration's actions to, like, the core of this mystery.
Yeah.
We have Jeffrey Epstein's infamous Black Book.
Ah, yes, the Black Book.
Probably one of the most notorious contact books in the world now, right?
Yeah.
And it was put together meticulously, apparently, by his butler, Alfredo Rodriguez.
And what's really fascinating here, or maybe chilling, are Rodriguez's own annotations. He actually marked certain names with circles.
Circles? Why?
He indicated, or it's claimed he indicated, that these were alleged co-conspirators and material witnesses to Epstein's sex crimes.
Material witnesses and co-conspirators.
That's the claim. And Rodriguez himself tragically later died in prison, apparently while trying to sell this very book.
So this butler, Rodriguez, he marks these names. Who exactly were the key figures he circled? Who was he pointing to?
Well, the list includes some very prominent names. Donald Trump, for one, Flavio Briatore, who we mentioned, Leslie and Abigail Wexner, Ghislaine Maxwell, of course, Jean-Luc Brunel, Peter Soros, Ehud Barak, the former Israeli PM, and Alan Dershowitz. Quite a list.
That is quite a list. And what's really striking, as the sources point out, is that apart from Maxwell and Brunel, and both of them died suspiciously in prison.
Right, which is another story in itself.
Exactly. But aside from them, none of the other circled names have been meaningfully investigated or pursued by law enforcement, Flavio Briatore included. That lack of follow-up, it's significant, isn't it? Especially if we're talking about this too big to fail idea.
It absolutely is. And that brings us directly to Flavio Briatore, often called Italy's Donald Trump, like you said. Long-standing friendship with the former president goes way back to the late 80s. But it's his early rise, how he got started, that really starts to reveal these deep-seated connections we're trying to map out today.
How so? What was his early career built on? What kind of foundations are we talking about?
Well, it turns out, according to the research, Briatore's early ascent was fueled by some, let's say, seedy associations.
Okay.
He was connected to a local financier, Attilio Dutto. Now, Dutto's predecessor, a guy named Michele Sindona, he laundered money for the Gambino crime family, advised the Vatican Bank.
Wow, okay. Gambino's in the Vatican Bank.
Yep. And Sindona was also a member of the infamous Freemason Lodge P2.
P2. I've heard of that.
Yeah.
That was serious stuff in Italy, right?
Oh, yeah. For anyone unfamiliar, P2 was essentially a secret society, operated like a state within a state, disturbing ties to organized crime, powerful business figures, bankers, politicians, even intelligence ops like the CIA's Operation Gladio.
Gladio, too. Okay.
And alleged links to the JFK assassination conspiracy. It's a real rabbit hole of shadowy influence.
So we're talking deep, covert influence.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the people around Briatore didn't always meet happy ends.
Not at all. Sindona died after drinking cyanide in prison. Dutto was killed in a car bomb in 1979.
A car bomb.
Yes. And what's more, Briatore immediately disappeared from his hometown Cuneo right after Dutto's death. It's a pattern, you know?
Yeah.
Mysterious disappearances, deaths surrounding these figures.
And connecting this to the bigger picture in Italy, Briatore was also very close with Silvio Berlusconi, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another P2 member.
Exactly. Long and close friendship. And Berlusconi himself, well, he was alleged to have paid the Sicilian mafia annually, faced accusations about organized crime involvement and even having an appetite for underage girls. So these connections run right up to the top levels of power.
Okay, so the network is dense. What about Briatore himself? Any direct controversies?
Oh, plenty. His past isn't short on them. He was connected to a Count Achille Caproni di Toledo, who faced financial crime accusations. And Briatore himself was actually charged with several counts of fraud.
Fraud related to what?
Illegal gambling rackets in Milan, orchestrated by organized crime figures, apparently. He actually evaded his prison sentence by becoming a fugitive.
A fugitive? Where did he go?
He landed in the U.S. Virgin Islands, which, interestingly, later became a favorite haunt of Jeffrey Epstein.
The Virgin Islands again. Okay, so these names and places just keep overlapping, don't they?
They really do. It's hard to see it as just coincidence when you look at the whole picture. Not just shady associates, but direct involvement in alleged organized crime, fleeing justice, ending up in a place that later becomes Epstein's base.
What else tells us about his network?
Well, his connections just keep expanding. Luciano Benetton, from the Benetton Group, he chose Briatore to run his North American operations.
Benetton, really?
Yep. And during that time, Briatore was apparently ferrying backwards and forwards between New York and the Virgin Islands tax haven. He also partnered in Regine's disco nightclubs, originally bankrolled by Guy and Edmund de Rothschild.
The Rothschilds, too, okay.
And it gets even wilder. There's even tangential involvement mentioned in an alleged effort to sell atomic bombs to Libya's Muammar Gaddafi.
Atomic bombs, seriously.
Allegedly. Involving Saudi families tied to the infamous BCCI scandal.
BCCI, that rings a bell. The Bank of Credit and Commerce International. Major fraud, money laundering.
Exactly. For drug cartels, alleged links to intelligence agencies, arms dealing, a real financial black hole back in the day. And Briatore's company, Finclaws, held shares in the Generali Group, which was somehow connected to this alleged bomb scheme.
So we're seeing financial ties, international intrigue. It's like a spy novel.
Yeah.
And his personal life wasn't exactly quiet either, was it?
Well,
Did his London place get bombed?
That's right. His London residence was bombed in 1993, allegedly by the IRA, but there was speculation it could be linked to his past, maybe arms smuggling ties or organized crime investigations. There was apparently even an intercepted call connecting him to a mob-linked figure about F1 engine sales.
So the shadows followed him. What about his finances more directly?
Well, consider this. Alongside the alleged mob ties and smuggling links, he apparently held 38 separate accounts, totaling around $73 million.
$73 million, where?
And HSBC's private Swiss branch, a bank that, later got busted for enabling drug dealers, arms dealers, money launderers, terrorists, the works.
HSBC Switzerland. Okay.
These accounts were closed in 2007, but the fact he had them in that kind of bank, it paints a picture, doesn't it? Someone deeply embedded in that sort of transnational network, operating way outside normal rules.
And didn't the sources also mention a possible link to Edwin Safra? Another controversial banker?
Yes, Safra. His institutions were also dogged by controversy over money laundering, organized crime links. Safra was close to Robert Maxwell.
Ghislaine Maxwell's father, the one linked to Israeli intelligence.
That's the one. And Safra's name also pops up in Epstein's Black Book. The threads just keep connecting and connecting. It's almost dizzying.
It really is.
Yeah.
But Briatore also had a very public, successful side, right? Formula One.
Absolutely. Huge success as managing director of the Benetton Formula One team. Recruited Michael Schumacher, won championships in the mid-90s. Big-time stuff.
But that ended in scandal, too, didn't it? Crashgate.
Yep, Crashgate in 2008 led to his supposed lifetime ban from F1 for race fixing. Basically, getting one driver to crash deliberately to help his teammate Fernando Alonso.
The lifetime ban he somehow came back from, though. He returned in 2024.
Remarkably, yes, back in F1. And just recently, there have been new whistleblower claims, more alleged race rigging to benefit Fernando Alonso, who Briatore still agents.
Still managing Alonso. Wow. And the sources highlighted something even darker about F1 events themselves.
Yeah, this is disturbing. Accusations that F1 events have served as hubs for human trafficking, with young girls being specifically targeted. It just adds another really grim layer to his whole profile.
And using his F1 money, he launched that billionaire brand. Nightclubs, luxury stuff.
Exactly. The billionaire nightclub brand, the billionaire life conglomerate, focused on high-end luxury hospitality, especially in places like Dubai and Riyadh, which, interestingly, mirrors Donald Trump's own investments in the Persian Gulf.
Another parallel. Okay, so that network brings us, maybe inevitably, to Naomi Campbell. How does she connect Epstein and Briatore?
Well, she's introduced to Epstein by Briatore. He was her fiancé at the time. This was back in 2001 at her 31st birthday party held on Briatore's yacht.
On his yacht. And there are photos from that party, right? Pretty infamous ones.
That's what the sources call them, rather infamous. They show Campbell, Epstein associates, Ghislaine Maxwell, and an underage Virginia Giuffre.
Giuffre was there. Underage.
Apparently so. And Giuffre later claimed Campbell and Maxwell were BFFs, best friends forever. She even tweeted accusations at Campbell after Epstein died, saying Campbell saw her being abused.
Heavy accusations. Did Campbell's connection to Epstein go beyond parties?
Yes. She flew on Epstein's private jet, the Lolita Express, 5 times between 2001 and 2003.
5 times. Anyone notable on those flights with her?
One flight included former President Bill Clinton, and significantly, 2 of those flights originated from the U.S. Virgin Islands, where Epstein's notorious island was.
The Virgin Islands again. Where did the other flights go?
Some went to Brazil, which is interesting because Campbell herself once stated, apparently, that she would go out on the street and recruit teen girls for the modeling industry in Brazil.
She said what? Recruit teen girls off the street?
That's the quote cited. And it's deeply unsettling, especially when you connect it to a lawsuit claiming Epstein used a modeling agency, Jean-Luc Brunel's McTwo agency, specifically to recruit girls from Brazil.
Brunel again, the one who died in prison. So the modeling industry. It seems like a recurring theme here with the dark side.
Definitely. Campbell was represented by Elite Model Management, founded by John Casablancas, who was apparently quite open about his sexual preference for child women, had relationships with 16, 17-year-olds.
What? And wasn't there a documentary about Elite?
Yes, a suppressed 1999 BBC documentary. It reportedly showed elite agents boasting of sex and drug exploits with young recruits. And it's also noted that Ivanka Trump modeled for Elite when she was 15.
Ivanka Trump, too. Okay.
And Campbell was also a big name at Victoria's Secret fashion shows for years. The chief marketing officer of their parent company, Ed Razek, his name was in Epstein's contact book.
Victoria's Secret, Epstein, Razek, Brunel.
It connects. Starting around 1995, Epstein really focused on the modeling industry. Tried to acquire Elite even. He teamed up with Jean-Luc Brunel.
The guy with the agency recruiting in Brazil.
Right. To create what some sources characterize as basically an Epstein-Victoria's secret pimp pipeline.
That's a disturbing phrase. And after Briatore, Campbell dated Diddy, right?
Yes, shortly after her relationship with Briatore ended, and now she's been accused of involvement in Diddy's alleged criminal activity. One specific allegation claims Diddy used her as a lure for his victims.
Another connection to another high-profile figure facing serious accusations. It's relentless.
It really is. Sources also note Campbell reportedly has an attraction to older men, mentor figures. She apparently refers to people like Briatore, Nelson Mandela, Chris Blackwell, Quincy Jones as dads or grandfather.
Interesting dynamic. And the intertwining just keeps going, doesn't it? After Campbell, who did Briatore get involved with?
His later relationships included Heidi Klum.
Wait, Heidi Klum. She's in Epstein's Black Book, too.
Apparently so. and associated with Maxwell and Prince Andrew, according to the sources. Briatore also dated Elisabetta Gregoracci, a model for Wonderbra.
Wonderbra. Why is that relevant?
Because the brand was controlled by the organized crime-linked Crown family. And the Crown family, in turn, are tied to this Epstein-linked entity called the Mega Group.
The mega group again. Okay, we need to come back to that. And what about Campbell's later relationships?
Her long-term relationship with Russian billionaire Vladislav Doronin is pretty significant, too.
How so?
Doronin apparently made his money through close ties to Mark Rich.
Mark Rich,
Yeah.
the fugitive commodity trader linked to Mossad and BCCI.
That's the one. Connected to the Mega Group and BCCI, which reportedly ran a sex trafficking operation itself. And get this, Doronin's company later hired a former FBI agent, Charles McGonigal.
McGonigal. Wasn't he arrested recently?
Yes, for taking secret payments from Oleg Deripaska, whose business interests had merged with Mark Rich's company, Glencore, which itself has links to the Rothschild family.
Okay, my head is spinning. The sheer density of these connections, it points to a very specific, very elite, and often very shadowy world, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Which brings us back to Donald Trump and his complex relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
Right? Epstein himself apparently boasted about their closeness.
Yeah, he told author Michael Wolff in 2017 that he was Donald's closest friend for 10 years. Claiming this covered the late 80s, the 90s, early 2000s, said they frequently prowled for women together in New York, Atlantic City.
Prowled for women. And those Epstein tapes, the ones Wolf recorded, they had some explosive claims, right?
Truly explosive. For instance, Epstein claimed Donald and Melania Trump first slept together on his plane, the Lolita Express.
On the Lolita Express, wow. How does Trump's camp respond to that?
They refer to the tapes as false smears and election interference, flat-out denials.
What else did Epstein say about Trump on those tapes?
It was, well, quite a portrayal. He reportedly called Trump charming, but also a horrible human being, a serial cheat who loved to, and this is a direct quote alleged by Wolff, F the wives of his best friends.
Good grief. That's quite an allegation.
He even described, apparently, an elaborate scheme Epstein had to procure sex with friends' wives. Involved phone calls in Trump Tower, beauty pageant contestants, with the wives unknowingly listening in on speakerphone.
That sounds diabolical, if true. Any other specific claims?
There was an allegation that Trump boasted, "I'm effing all these black women," supposedly using a Yiddish racial slur.
Okay.
And more general criticisms, too. Epstein allegedly described Trump as almost functionally illiterate, except for maybe page 6. Said he couldn't read a balance sheet, behaved like an emotionally challenged 9-year-old yelling at staff. It's a very specific, very negative picture painted by Epstein, according to Wolff's account.
But Trump's own story about Epstein has changed over time, hasn't it?
Drastically. Back in 2002, he publicly called Epstein a terrific guy. Said he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. That quote got a lot of attention later.
Yeah, I remember that. But then later.
By 2019, the tune was very different. Trump stated he was not a fan of his, hadn't been friends for 15 years, even claimed he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago.
Kicked him out. But he also wished Ghislaine Maxwell well after her arrest.
He did, publicly in 2020, which raised eyebrows again. Their shared past, according to the sources, definitely included public partying at Mar-a-Lago, attending Victoria's Secret Angel shows together.
Right.
Trump's name was in Epstein's phone book, so is Melania's. And Trump appeared 7 times in Epstein's plane logs.
7 times. When did they supposedly have this falling out?
It seems it happened around 2004, over competing bids to buy a big Palm Beach estate, Maison de l'Amitié.
Yeah.
Money, as often happens.
Okay. What about broader Trump connections that tie into this network? Briatore mentioned meeting him early on.
Yes, Briatore claimed he met Trump in the late 80s, said they were both trying to start their careers after the stock market crash. Briatore also apparently officiated a meeting between Trump and Luciano Benetton at the Plaza Hotel in New York.
The Plaza again. Doesn't that place have its own history?
It does. Sources mention it as a site historically used by organized crime-linked figures to sexually blackmail powerful figures in government.
Blackmail. And wasn't Trump's mentor, Roy Cohn, involved in that sort of thing?
Exactly. Roy Cohn, an organized crime associate, was reportedly involved in those blackmail efforts, and Trump's acquisition of Resorts International, described as an infamous mob-linked CIA front company, also fits into this murky picture.
A CIA front company, wow.
And there are accusations, again, just allegations noted in the sources, that Trump hosted parties in Plaza Hotel suites where young women and girls were introduced to older, richer men and drugs were available.
These are some heavy claims. Did Briatore and Trump have business dealings?
Briatore claimed Trump offered him a job related to his Atlantic City casino, the Taj Mahal, and later they collaborated on the Italian version of The Apprentice. Trump apparently personally asked for Briatore to be involved. So the connection persisted. Okay, as we try to wrap our heads around all this, it seems like Epstein himself. He wasn't the ultimate boss, was he?
That's a key concept from the sources. Epstein was perhaps the management, not the owner, of the criminal enterprises.
Management, not owner. Interesting.
And the tight-knit network of oligarchs that enabled Epstein are transnational. Their influence crosses borders, industries. It's global.
Which brings us back to this mega group. What is that exactly?
It was apparently founded by Leslie Wexner Epstein's main patron, the Victoria's Secret guy, and Charles Bronfman from the Seagram's fortune.
Wexner and Bronfman.
And their known members, according to the sources, share historical and more current ties to these same organized crime networks we've been touching on, as well as the broader network enabling Epstein.
So same patterns again. Any specifics on Wexner?
Well, Wexner had alleged ties to the Genovese crime family, and he notably hired Epstein right after his longtime lawyer suffered a mob-style murder.
Hired Epstein right after his lawyer was murdered mob-style. That timing is stark. So the mega group seems central to who might have really been pulling the strings.
It appears to be a potential linchpin, yes. And another central figure in this web is Alan Dershowitz, Epstein's friend, former defense lawyer.
Dershowitz. His name keeps coming up. What's his role, according to the sources?
Well, first, there are his controversial views on the age of consent, arguing it should be lowered to when a girl gets her period. This is apparently around the time he was consorting with Jeffrey Epstein.
Lower the age of consent. Seriously.
That's a reported argument. He's also alleged to have played a key role in orchestrating that sweetheart deal that protected Epstein from serious federal prosecution initially.
The deal that caused so much outrage.
Exactly, and Virginia Giuffre accused him of sexual assault, though she later retracted that specific claim against him. But Dershowitz is known for using what's called lawfare.
Lawfare. Using the law as a weapon.
Pretty much. Aggressive legal tactics, lawsuits, basically to intimidate or shut down critics, including Epstein victims. He also apparently has a very cozy relationship with former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, who was also circled in Epstein's Black Book. And Dershowitz identifies strongly as an ultra-Zionist.
Okay, now this next point from the sources. It's critical, but it's also really sensitive, right? It touches on how identity can be weaponized.
Yes, it's a very nuanced and potentially explosive argument presented in the sources. It discusses what's termed the Likud paradigm, basically the dominant form of Zionism in Israel.
And the argument is?
The argument put forth is that some oligarchs and figures like Dershowitz use the Jewish community in their historical targeting as basically human shields.
Human shields? How?
By conflating any scrutiny of their alleged crimes or business dealings with anti-Semitism, basically, if you criticize them, you're attacking all Jewish people.
Ah, I see. Using anti-Semitism as a shield against personal accountability.
That's the claim. And the source material argues this behavior, ironically, tends to actually increase incidence of anti-Semitism because it acts as though this type of criminal behavior is exclusive to Jews, which is obviously false and dangerous.
Right.
This perspective also suggests that this particular Likud paradigm is, in their words, openly ethno-fascist and relies on the idea of Jews as a monolith to push its agenda, making people feel victimized collectively, which then helps deflect criticism from specific individuals or actions onto the entire group.
It's a very pointed critique from the sources.
Yeah.
Highlighting a really complex and troubling dynamic.
It is, and it's crucial to state we're reporting the perspective offered in the source material here, not endorsing it, but it's part of the landscape presented.
Absolutely. So as you can clearly see from everything we've covered, this deep dive reveals a truly vast, incredibly interconnected web. Individuals, networks, the Epstein case touches everything. Organized crime, intelligence ops, global finance, politics, across multiple countries. It's almost unbelievable how many connections surface once you start pulling these threads.
And understanding these deep-seated connections, or at least trying to, it really helps make sense of complex current events, maybe some information you come across. It can offer those aha moments, you know, about the underlying power structures that often operate just out of sight.
Yeah.
It's truly a testament to how deeply entrenched these networks seem to be. And frankly, it's a bit disturbing to see it all laid out like this.
It certainly makes you wonder, doesn't it? If these networks of influence and wealth are so deeply intertwined and apparently so capable of shielding themselves from scrutiny, well, what does that imply about the true balance of power in our world? And how much is really accountable to public transparency?
That's the question, isn't it?
Something to ponder as you go about your day.